like I told in the last session, if you don't specify allocation size, how many number of ID values will be stored in memory? 50. 50. So when again the persistence provider will connect with the database for ID value after the 50 values. Okay, right? After the 50, that is called what? Allocation size. So it will reduce the number of trips between application database for fetching the ID value, so that it can significantly improve the performance. So significantly improves performance by reducing the database size. In our example, we have tested yesterday with a specified value 2. Allocation size 2. So how many number of ID values are stored in the memory? 2 values. Yesterday I have saved how many objects to the database? 3 objects. Then how many times we saw the query to select the ID value? 2 times. That's what I said. Okay. See what? Today we first understand about table. Actually, our database is MySQL. Our database is MySQL. As we know that MySQL database does not support version. Suppose your database is MySQL. In MySQL we cannot create a sequence of it. MySQL does not support the sequence. Doesn't support the sequence. That's why when I use sequence generator, if I specify the sequence name as my underscore SQL, what the JPA is creating table. Subsequence, what it is creating? Table. It's not creating a sequence, but it's creating a table. Okay. And the column name in the table, that is sequence. Next underscore value. The column name created there. Next underscore value is the column name. The table name sequence name will be used as table name. Column name will be next underscore value. We are doing like this. JPA. Why JPA is creating a table but not a sequence? Because this database MySQL does not support the sequence. That is why it is creating the table, and inside the table it is creating the one column. The column name next underscore value. But now today we want to use one more generation type of thing. That is called table. I'll explain this today now. Table. Generation type table means JPA will use a dedicated table from the database. In the database, it will use one table of the database for generating the ID. That's for generation type running. When you run our application today, while running application today, because of sequence is not supported by MySQL, this JPA is creating a table. Almost the sequence effect and table effect looks the same. But in table, we need to configure the table name, column name, and okay. And we also need to configure who is the primary key column, who is the value column. These kind of things I need to explain. I need to configure with the table. But basically, what a table says, if the generation type is table, then JPA will use a table of the database to generate the ID value or primary key value for the inputs. Okay, and we need to configure. What we need to configure? We need to configure what is the name of the table. In the table, what are the columns available? The table must contain a primary key column. And who is the value column? We need to configure value column name and primary key column of the table. Right. In that primary key column, what is the value? table we are creating what? Student underscore PA. It's a table. Student underscore
Fan
PA
speed
is a
W.
table. Or we
Fan
can also
speed.
take some other table.
Three
Let's say
vectors.
this is a table called it could be some table name. Some good name is better than what I'm thinking of. Otherwise, some table name. Doesn't matter what table name it is. Consider, let's say, for example, table name we want to write uh, CAB underscore ID. This is one table name. Okay. Now this table contains columns. Let's say, for example, ID underscore key. ID underscore value. ID underscore key, ID underscore value. What is a tab underscore ID means the table name. ID underscore key, ID underscore value, both are the columns. And in the first column, for example, it is SPU underscore ID. SPU underscore ID is the column ID key column value. ID underscore key column. This value is SPU underscore ID. The value of ID underscore value is 1. Then I am telling the okay. Then I am going to tell the table generator. What I am going to tell the table generator? This is a table name to be used. This is a primary key column in the table. This is a column which contains value, and this is a primary key column name. In the primary key column, this is the value. Use the value of this particular primary key column, SQ underscore ID, for generating the ID value for the students. What JPA will do now, we'll select the current value from this column. After selecting the value from here, it will update the value to the next number based on allocation size, which means almost table generator, sequence generator, both are going to be understood in the same way. That is in MySQL. Why? Because in MySQL we don't have any sequence object. That's why it is creating there also table only. So table generator also use table only. Means what? Mostly generation type dot sequence is acting like table generation type MySQL. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. If it is Oracle, then what? In Oracle, sequence object is allowed. Means what? Oracle database can store the sequence object. If I say sequence name I underscore SQ doesn't create the table, it creates a sequence object only. But here it is going to create the table. That's the difference. Okay, let's see how it is going to work. Let's see how it is going to work. What I'm saying now, I would like to say something else. The same example. Again, first let's go to MySQL workbench. And first what I will do, I will try to drop the table. Because next one more strategy that we want to test. To test the new strategy, first we want to drop the existing tables. What are the tables we want to drop? Drop table student. Drop the table student. Drop the table MySQL. Now I don't have any student table, I don't have any MySQL table because I did I have dropped the tables by myself, right? Now I don't have any table. Now we want to change now. Which strategy that we want to use? Table. What happens now? Users a separate database table to simulate a sequence. A row in this table stores the next available ID value. So understanding is difficult. Try to explain how it is working. Look at this. First, generation type dot table. Slowly understand. Nothing is there. Empty. What the generation type? No, generation type dot table. Keep that annotation comment, which is not required. Sequence generator is not required because we are not using generation type sequence. For the generation type, we are using table. These are all different strategies available for generating the ID value. Generation type dot table. Okay, good.
My apologies for keeping you guys
Name
waiting.
also deleted.
Tricky.
Now, generation type table means a separate database table will be used for generating the ID value. We should configure what is the name of the table. So many attributes are there. Annotation name is at table generator. The annotation name at table generator. Like sequence generator, we have table generator. You can see many are there. Name, table, catalog schema not required. Primary key column name, value column name, primary key column value, initial value, default 0, allocation size, default 50. And you know allocation size means what happens? Allocation size tells about the number of ID values to be stored in memory by the JPA provider. After those values are completed, then only it will go and collect the next set of ID values from the database. It won't go every time and fetch the value from the database. That is what the very important. Okay. So table generator. Specify table name is what? Name of the generator, table, primary key column name, value column name, primary key column value, allocation size. Let's see. First name. Name. DAV. Okay. It could be any name. Okay. Name means some name. For example, name equal to ID generator, ID gen. Name is equal to ID gen. Table. Table. Table is equal to write something like better will keep it line by line so that you can understand. Okay. Name equal to ID gen. Table equal to name of the table. Name of the table in database. Let's say ID underscore table. What's the table name? ID underscore table. Table name ID underscore table. Next. Primary key column name. What is it? Primary key column name. Primary key column name. Okay. ID underscore. Okay. ID underscore column name. Primary key column name in the table. Primary key column name in the table is ID underscore key. Value column name is ID underscore val. Next. Primary key column value is SPU underscore ID. Next, allocation size. Allocation size 2. So what is the name of the table generator here? IDGen. So write generator is equal to IDGen. Generator attribute. Okay, generator attribute is to configure the name of the table generator or name of the sequence generator. Name of the table generator or name of the sequence generator. So generator is equal to IDGen. Table ID underscore table. Primary key column name ID underscore key. Value column name ID underscore val. Primary key column value SQ underscore ID. Allocation size 2. What does it mean now? There is a table created. What's the table that JPA is going to create now? We are telling the JPA that use the table on ID underscore table. This table for primary key value. This table contains 2 columns. That primary key column name is what? ID underscore key. Value column name is what? ID underscore val. This is the table contains how many columns right now? 2 columns. This is table. These are the columns. In ID underscore key, what is the primary key column value for the value of this particular column? SPU underscore ID. SPU underscore ID. Next, ID underscore val. What is the value of ID underscore val? The value will be by default 0. By default what? 0. The default value will be stored as 0. Okay. Understanding my point? But default value is what? 0. Initial value is 0. If the table is created by JPA, it will update the value of this particular column to the initial value as 1. Initial value is 0, but table is created. But now next it is going to update the value as 1. Now what we are telling now? Use this table of database. This table has a primary key column. This is the primary key column ID underscore. Another column is ID underscore. This is called value column. This is called primary key column. Primary key column name is ID underscore key. Value column name is ID underscore. What is the result? This is primary key column and this is the value column. These two views. Next, what is primary key? Column value. What is the value of the primary? What is the value of the primary key column? STU underscore ID. STU underscore ID. What is the initial value of this column ID underscore was 0. Next, the JPA will update the value to what? 1. Now, what we are telling the JPA? Use this table as a source for generating the primary key value for the entity. This is for table generator. Means what? A separate table in the database should be used for generating the primary key value automatically. And I should configure what is the name of the table, what is the primary key column name in the table, what is the value column name in the table. You are getting my point? And what is the primary key column value? STU underscore ID. All these things that we need to configure. Am I clear with that? You got the concept right? This is how it works. Am I clear with this? Let us run this. Okay, let us run this.
ఈ వాటర్లో క్వార్టర్ ఉన్న బాగుంది ఏం తెలిస్తే మళ్ళీ ఇంటికి ల్యాండర్ లీక్ చేస్తుంది
Let us run this. I just want to
బిహారీకి లోపల పిలవనా హ్యాపీ బర్త్డే
These are the things I have configured. Let's see how they are working. Now first go to runner. How many students we want to save? 3. List is containing 3 students. We want to save the 3 A, B, C. Okay, right? What is the allocation size specified here? Suppose allocation size specified is 3. Then how many times it will hit the database to select the ID value? primary. The ID value is only one type, right?
అయ్యా
Okay, let's do one. Allocation size 3.
దొరకలేదు కాబట్టి సరిపోయింది.
Allocation size 3. Now let us run the application and check the output. Clear with that? Let's see. Observe the queries. The queries.
అంటే ఫస్ట్ టైం ఈ ఆచారం ఎక్కడ లేదు రాజకీయాల్లోకి వచ్చిన తర్వాత నేను కూడా ఫస్ట్ టైం లోకేష్ గారు ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉన్న అందరూ రోజులో తర్వాత ఫ్యామిలీ ఇంట్రాక్షన్ వాళ్ళు శారీస్ పెట్టడం కావచ్చు మంచి ఆచారం రోజు చేయాలి ఏ నాయకుడు కూడా ఎందుకంటే గత రోజుల్లో అసెంబ్లీలో కమాండ్
Okay, now see here. Student table is created because I don't have. ID table also created because it is not there. The table is not available. Creating one table called what? ID underscore table. For the column ID underscore key. Another column ID underscore var. And this is the primary key column. ID underscore. Next it is inserting into the table. Okay, right? What is the initial value? 0. That's what I got. ID underscore key is what? SPU underscore ID. What's the value? Initial value 0. What hybrid is doing now? Selecting the ID value from ID table. Are you getting my point? After that, it is updating the ID value again. Updating the ID value. What is the allocation size specified? 3. If allocation size 3, what is the next ID value? 4.
సాధించడానికి
Because how many are in memory? 3 ID values are in memory. But the next ID value should come from database 4. Let's see. The ID value is 4 or not. Correct? Good. First one, it selects ID value. What the ID value selected now? Initial value is what? 0, right? 0. Now it updates the ID value as 1. Then selects ID value. Selects what? ID value. What the ID value coming from now? 1. And allocation size 3. Means how many IDs are in the memory now? 3 IDs. Now it is going to update the ID value. Now it is going to update the ID value to how much now? 4. 3 plus allocation size. 1 plus allocation is 3. 1 plus 3. 4. Next ID value should be 4.
వద్దంటే వద్దు.
Then insert into student, insert into student, insert into student. So by using these queries, we can understand what happened. Now we will go and check in the database table. We will go and check in the database table. The database table will go and check it. First, select star from. Select star from. What is it? Student. That is okay. Student we no need to see. 3 records 1, 2, 3. What was the next table? ID underscore table. Select star from.
హలో
Select star from. What is that?
చెప్పు
ID underscore table. ID underscore table. What is the allocation size we specified? 3. But why it is 6 that we need to check. Actually we are expecting what? 4. Allocation size 3. Initial value 1. 1 plus 3 should be 4. But it is stored how much? How many totally? Let's check for second time. Then probably we will get the result. See. Let's go to runner component. A, B, C are inserted. D, E, F is the next. Students are A, B, C, D, E, F, right? ABC are completed. DEF is the next. Okay. Now let us try to run this. Let us try to run this. Let's try to run this. Okay, right? Again, how many students are inserted? 3 more students are inserted. 3 more students are inserted now. It is selecting ID value from database now. Because how many values are stored in memory? 3 values. So 3 values are gone. Now again, how many values are stored into the memory? 3 values. The 3 values are used for inserting into the student now. 1, 2, 3. The 3 students are inserted. Now, 4, check. Select star from student. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 4 is missing, right? Check. Or the next ID value to come? 9. Or the next ID value to come is 9. But we got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Means what is missing? 4. 4 is missing. And if I run again, for example, if I run, let's see whether 8 is going to be served. Okay, let's see one thing. I just go to runner and I just want to keep GHI. Let's add 3 more entities now. Let's add 3 more entities now. So then we are trying to let's see what are the record ID values are going to be for the student. Now again, start from student. Let's create the table manually from asking the GPA to create the check in that way, but it's working. Next one, ID table. What the next ID value comes from here? 12. Let us do one thing. We will drop the student table. Drop table. Right. Let us drop this table also ID table. ID underscore table. Okay. Now both the tables are dropped. Now our test is we want to start from AB. The students AB. Okay, AB. What is the what I am trying to do now? Instead of asking the JPA to create the table ID underscore table. I want to create the table manually in the database ID underscore table. The primary key column name ID the value column name as ID underscore value. I am manually creating the table now. Okay, I am manually creating the table. And what the primary key column value is SQ underscore ID. And what the default value that I am going to insert into value column name. Okay, I can insert the value 0. Okay, I can insert the table name id underscore table. The two columns. The first column id underscore t is varchar 1235. This is primary key also. The primary key. Next, take it as a begin. Create a table. Now table is created. Create table successfully completed now. Nothing but table is created by myself. Now we can see that one table is created by id underscore table. Now insert one record in the table. How to insert the record in the table? Now insert the info. Okay, insert the info. Put the table name id underscore table. Next one values, and we should specify two values here. What the column, what is the value in the sp underscore id in the value in the id key, means primary key column. The primary key column, what is the value? Sorry, sp underscore id, right? sp underscore id, that is the first value, nothing but primary key column value, sp underscore id. Next one is what? id underscore val. id underscore val is a value, right? Consider the value what I am inserting is 1. Now one record is inserted. After inserting this record, now let us go and run our application. Now you can see it is only creating which table? Student table, but not creating ID table, because ID table is only available in the database. When ID table is created by Hibernate, the table does not exist, but I have manually created the table. Okay, right? Now it is performing some select operation, then performing the value, update operation for updating the value, that is setting the table. But now mode check. Our main index table. What is the next value that is available in the ID table? Or the next ID value available in the table now? If you manually create the table, you will copy, right? ID underscore table. Now we can shift for the value now. So previously we got 6 directly. So create the table manually, you can see the answer. Next, select star from student. How many students we have inserted? 3 students. 3 students. What the student ID selected here? 0. Initial values, it is taken as 0, right? But I have written initial value as 1 in my database. So for that I need to add one more attribute for initial value. Initial value is how much? 1. Initial value is how much now? 1. Okay, right? Let me do one thing. Let me do one thing. I'll show you. Don't worry, I'll show you. What I will do now? Delete from ID underscore table. The record is deleted from table, ID underscore table. So directly delete where ID underscore value is equal to 4. Safe update mode. Safe update mode will increase there is a command for that. Right? Tape of one. Equal. Google Windows. If I'm directly deleting, I'm getting error because the table is used for update operation. We need to disable save of MySQL save update mode. There is a command for that. Let SQL save update is equal to 0. That's the command. Let SQL save update is 1. Now I can save from save. Just see whatever the command is, right click here. And I want to go out. Tell me, I want the filtering for okay. What is the initial value in the ID column? The ID value column. What? Now I should go to my annotation. In my annotation, I should specify what I should specify. Which one I specify? Initial value. For the initial value, default is 0. But for the initial value that I have assigned there, 1. Initial value is 1. Now let us try to run this application. Now let us try to run this application. Correct? Once it is executed, code check now. These queries we don't need to understand, we need to check. What do we need to check? Select star from student. Select star from student. It is not starting from 1, it is starting from 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me check. Select star from ID underscore table. ID underscore table. We got second because the previous one is 4 plus picture. That is the one. Let's keep it. I'll recollect. Okay. I'll come back to explain you about this. How this allocation size and initial value. If I say initial value 1, it is 1 update to value. Right. So if I say initial value 0, by default it will look after the value is 1. What are the queries executed? Let's try. Yeah, many queries are executed. Let's see. First select ID value from table where ID for update is block. It updates ID value where ID value is equal to Monzo and key equal to Monzo. Then select ID value. Then again updates ID value. Then insert the correct key. Just missing one value. Do it like this. right here. I'll come back, okay? I'll come back with how this is properly working. When you specify the allocation size, when you specify the default. Okay, right? Let's do one thing. We will drop the tables. We don't want to create the table manually. Drop table ID underscore table. Next, drop table photo. Okay, right? Which means what? We don't want to create the table manually, but we want to set the initial value. What the initial value that we want to configure? 1. Initial value is equal to 1. Okay, now I don't have any table. No table created by me. Now let us run this application to insert the ABC students. Let's run this. What the initial value that it is inserted? Values, column name is SQ underscore ID initial value. We want to check select last of ID underscore the next ID value is that's in my application session is not used. Let me know. Just drop the table. We need the let us drop the table. Okay. We want to drop the table. Okay, the two tables are dropped. What is happening in my application? What is happening in my application? The session is still being written by the ID value. When ID values are in memory, when they code is updating it, updating the new values. Okay, 4 plus 3 7, that's why it is updating the values. What are the requirements? We want to see what are the requirements. The updating formula. Start with initial value.
हेलो ब्रेक लिए को सारे हाँ
initial one is 0. Initial one is 0, 0. Plus the allocation size 3. 0 plus 3, 3. Again, second time of updating, so 3 plus 3. That's why we are getting ID value. Okay, it is updating twice, but we are expecting it to update once. Okay, I will check into that, but otherwise, only one issue. We will look into that. Into the tally. Add only 2 records, sir. The rate is add only. Because all the other tests are completed, that's why we did all this. The exporting update. That is what is needed. That's the thing. That is what. Okay, one last time we can. Let's add something. Okay. See. It is updating 2 times.
హలో రెడీ రావా సరే ఎప్పుడు అడగలు ఐదు రకం వస్తాను కదా హలో దగ్గర ఆడంట పదికి అయిపోయింది డబ్బులు రానంటే వచ్చిన 300 వస్తున్నాయి 300 వస్తాయి అది కట్టి అయిపోతున్నాయి కదా 50 జమడ కొట్టుకుంటాను ఫోన్ చేశాను నువ్వు ఫోన్ చేయడు కట్టాను హలో అదే ఆడు ఫోన్ చేశారు మాట్లాడుతూ సార్ ఆడతారు నేను మాకు బకెట్ బకెట్ అడిగినప్పుడు ఒకసారి ఫోన్ చేయండి మన ఫోన్ చేశారు కొంచెం మాట్లాడు ఎవరా ఏంది
మెసుగు వేద్దామా ఎట్లా నిన్నంటే టైంకి కుదిరింది ఈరోజు టైంకి పెడతారో లేదు
మెస్కెళ్ళి
సేమ్ వైట్ అండ్ బ్లాక్ ప్యాంట్ కదా
హలో ఎట్లా వెళ్ళి అలాగే కదా బాబు ఫోన్ వాషింగ్ మిషన్ ఇప్పుడు వేసాడు ఫోన్ ఇప్పుడు వాషింగ్ ఇప్పుడు వేసాడు వాషింగ్ లో ఉంటాడు ఫోన్ చేస్తాడు తిరుమల ఫోన్ యాప్ వేసాడు ఫోన్ యాప్ హలో కాదిగాడు ఫోన్ చేశారండి చేయండి ఫోన్ చేశారు చేయండి
जनरेशन टाइप का mandated value strategy generation type का now let us find हमारे रिकॉर्डर पे आप देखेंगे universally unique identity. But eventually, the PCs apply to what I repeat.
నాకు తెలిసే నువ్వు చెప్పేది అర్థం కాదని కొంచెం ఫీలింగ్స్ కూడా ఫిలాసఫీ చెప్పండి నా వల్ల కాదే నాదంత అప్డేటెడ్ ఫ్రెండ్ కాదే అంటే ఏంటి ఇప్పుడు నేను అప్డేట్ అవ్వాలనుకుంటున్నాను మారాలనుకుంటున్నాను
Then can I use generation type not before it? Generated value. Because what's the UUID or then it will generate one universal unique.
It is unique across all the systems. Why? How can you say it's unique across all the systems? Because their startup times are different. JVM startup times are different, and current system time is different. So obviously, what happens now? The ID generated by UUID is unique across globally. Okay, because it is going to use UUID algorithm uses different values. What values it uses for generating the ID value? JVM startup time, current system time. Okay, right. And it also, I think, internally uses some JVM register value. That's called PC register value. What register value? PC register value in JVM. Based on these values, it's generating one string. This string is unique across global. The same string will not repeat or will not be generated again. It's going to be unique across globe. That's called UUID. Stands for universally unique identifier is generated. Okay. Look at this. To test this UUID. Okay, right. Let's ask UUID generator uses okay. I don't know whether it's going to give or not. Yeah, you can see here universal unique identifier.